Good morning, everyone, and happy Sunday. I'm Charlotte McGinnis, and as always, I want to thank you for taking the time to tune in and join me here on Sunday mornings or at your convenience. And just a reminder that you can also find me on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/InspireYOUTV. So some people don't do Facebook, so if you know anyone who may be interested, you can direct them to my channel. Okie doke, so that being said, glad you're here. It's a beautiful day. We finally got a little rain, not as much as we would have liked up here, but I think there's more coming. Let's hope so. But in the meantime, just loving the beauty of spring and all that comes with it. Want to remind you, next Sunday, I will not be having my Sunday Soulful Conversation, as I'll be in Ponte Vedra Beach with my girlfriends from Huntington, West Virginia for our get-together. There's 7 of us. We've been friends, some of us 55 years, and we get together once or twice a year, and this is the week. So can't wait, gonna be fun, and won't be doing the Sunday Soulful Conversation next week, but I'll see you in 2 weeks. Okie doke. Well, you know, Friday in our Course in Miracles group, which is always wonderful. It's just a great group of people, and we've been doing this group. Many have been in the group, this particular one, since about 2018 when I started my online ministry and the prayer ministry and all of that. And it's just grown in power and strength and devotion to living in a world of peace, to become that peace actually, and to really take responsibility for thought, beliefs, action, recognize calls for healing when they come, and that's just so awesome. And our lesson was, of course, we are not a victim of the world we see. And we're working from, right now, The Way of Mastery, which is, I would say, a great companion book to the Course in Miracles. It's actually inspired by Jesus, and it speaks to us in very relatable terms of how we can master our thoughts and overcome the world. And it's in a way that we can understand. Sometimes the language in the Course in Miracles can be a little intense and heavy and kind of hard to take in. But this is a great way to really integrate the Course into your life, to integrate the teachings of Christ into our lives. So we are not a victim of the world we see. Well, interesting, before I move forward, one of the gals in the class had mentioned that, you know, all she really chooses to do now is to be at peace, loves staying home more and more, and not chasing this and chasing that, and no more fear of missing out, FOMO as they call it. You know, I think that really at some point we get to where it's kind of like our peace is the most important thing. Not to say that it's not enjoyable to do things and to go out and to have accomplishments and travel and this and that, but doing it from a place of completeness and peace rather than chasing the next thing and this and that, and if I don't do this, I'm going to miss. And I used to be a lot like that, and when I look back, it's stressful. I always felt a little on the edge when I look back at when I was chasing this or that and what have you. So it's nice to be able to be more in a place of peace. So we're going to talk today, as the title indicates, you are not a victim of the world you see. It's actually on, it's a lesson in the Course in Miracles. And, you know, I've got some powerful thoughts to share with you guys. And I'm going to actually read from this book a little bit, because as I was trying to decide what parts I wanted to take from it, I'm like, well, shoot, that's all of it. So just to make it easier on me, to be honest, I'm just going to read from the book. So I would invite your feedback as always. Please feel free to question, to share any thoughts you have about it. And also, if you feel moved to pass this along, I would be grateful for that as well. So today's idea is the introduction to your declaration of release. Again, this idea should be applied to both the world you see without and the world you see within. In applying this idea, we will use a form of practice which will be used more and more with changes as indicated. Generally speaking, the form includes two aspects. One in which you apply the idea on a more sustained basis, and the other consisting of frequent applications of the idea throughout the day. And this lesson asks us to continually remind ourselves, just bring that thought into your heart. Whenever we may see ourselves as victims or see others as victims, remind ourselves, I am not a victim of the world I see. As we say almost every week, we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. And a reminder too, it looks and appears often that people are victims. And, again, sometimes it's the most compassionate thing that we can offer as spiritual beings, and is to say you are not a victim of the world you see. Now, I'm not saying to go up to that person and say you're not a victim of the world you see, because they're very much immersed in that. But silently to yourself, you are not a victim of the world you see, creates an opening for them to see for themselves what they haven't been able to see. So before I move forward, I'm not sure if people are seeing me. I've got a weird little funky thing happening on my screen, but if somebody got a thumbs up, so thank you. And there's Molly, so I don't know what this little bleep is, but it's bleeping. So glad you all could hear or can hear me. So we need to remind ourselves often throughout the day. And the Course, as well as any spiritual practice, is about training our minds, our hearts, hey, good morning, Janie, how to be in the world differently, how to interpret what we see through the eyes of love or the Holy Spirit rather than the eyes of fear and victimhood and so on and so forth. So it's a practice, it's a discipline. We're very tempted to jump into the insane happenings in the world, which in truth aren't even real. Only love is real. And if we can remember that, and if we can live from that and see beyond the illusion of war and conflict and division and hatred and on and on and on, then, as I mentioned a minute ago, we're creating and opening a space for real healing to occur. But if I see myself as a victim and I get angry and I get upset and so on and so forth, there's a good chance that that's feeding more of what we don't want. So in addition, as we repeat this idea, we need to remind ourselves, I love this, that we're making a declaration of independence in the name of our own freedom. And in our freedom lies the freedom of the world. And that's so true. Not only are we declaring our own freedom, but we're declaring freedom in the world. And by that, being all one, we're all God's children, we're all rays of light, we're all eternal beings, we're all spirit. And the essence of who we are is changeless, formless, and eternal, and is not impacted or affected by anything externally, but only how we choose to interpret it. So, as I heal my own thoughts, as I show up in my life with the intent to love, to forgive, then I'm blessing the entire universe. So it's a practice, and it's one worth following. So any time that the temptation to see ourselves as a victim, declare to yourself, hey, good morning, Dawn, great to see you. It's a declaration that we won't yield to and put ourselves in bondage or keep ourselves in bondage. So, we get so caught up in our stories, don't we? The one thing that I'm grateful for is that I recognize it. I'm grateful that I've made shifts in my own thinking, that I'm able to be much more peaceful, less reactive. But it takes practice, it takes work. And yes, I do get triggered, and now I have no one to blame because I know I'm not a victim of anything. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim. Hey, Donna, good morning. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of what's happening because I am projecting it at some level. So, and that's empowering. That's what we have to remember is be a victor, not a victim. When we claim our divinity and act and live from that, then we overcome all the insanity of the world. A few weeks back, I gave a talk on this world is the devil's playground. Well, and you know, that used to be a thought or a statement that I'd hear and I'd be like, ooh, I hate this, I don't like that. But now it's like, yep, true. Well, what is the devil? Well, I think I've shared this with you, but a gal in our group, Lori, been around a long time in the spiritual world, always looked to her for guidance and support. And anyways, she was saying she had met with a rabbi, had I guess a seminar or something years back with a rabbi, and he was talking about Satan. And she pronounced Satan, he did, as Satan. And what is Satan? What is Satan? Satan is the ego. Satan is the ego. What is the ego? The ego is a great acronym, edging God out. Satan, the ego, the devil's playground. This world is meant to be a distraction to keep us from our eternal home, which is where unity, oneness, peace, and eternity and love abide. And this world is tempting us moment by moment to get distracted, to get upset, to project, to see ourselves as victim, to buy into the illusion of whatever insanity story it is of the day. And it's not getting us very well. We're on that very far. We're on that wheel, right? Well, step off the wheel. And as you step off and I step off, we're blessing the world far greater than any protest, any attack thoughts, any taking sides. All of that is just perpetuating that which we don't want. But it takes practice. So I like this statement, being a victim is a choice, being a survivor is a choice. We have power over the choices that we make. And I think that's so true. You know, it's a choice. It's a decision. I can see myself and woe is me and this happened and that happened and because of this I deserve to be angry and upset and blah, 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 and stay in the story. But also being a survivor, being a victor is a choice. And whatever we can allow ourselves to build on is allowing us to create more of the same, both that of love and of fear. Because the moment we take responsibility for everything in our life is the moment we can change anything in our life. And I love this because I think that those of us who are on a conscious spiritual path, deciding to take responsibility for everything in our life, not seeing ourselves as victims anymore, and understand that I have take responsibility and say, well, I've created this at some level because my dominant thoughts and emotions are perpetuating this. Well, you know what? If we created it, then guess what? We can change it, which is very empowering and very awesome. So this is a tool in empowerment. And the only thing that really is stopping us is ourselves. You know, we want to say that, well, this situation's stopping us, my conditions are this, and da. But in truth, the only thing that's stopping us is my decision to see myself as a victim of whatever's happening in the world. So, you know, we often see ourselves as a victim. And Debbie Ford, great teacher, she's been... she left this world, I don't know, at least 10 years ago. One of the books, she wrote many books, did great seminars, wonderful coach, very hardcore, like, get the message. The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, that was a great book. And but this one statement she made I thought was really great. And she said, when you see yourself as a victim, you end up seeing the whole world as corrupt. Wow. Isn't that interesting? Because How many people, including myself, oh, he's corrupt, she's corrupt, this is blah, 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 blah. And now it's like, okay, that was another layer I get to look at. This is not a corrupt world. It's only corrupt because I'm seeing myself and others as victims. Go back to strengthening the power of our true nature and who we are as divine beings of light. And so, yes, see the world as we are. So we'll see beyond the veil of corruption and whatever story we've made up. And we'll see that everybody's just playing their perfect role and teaching us what we need to learn. I think I mentioned last week or a couple of weeks ago about a video Marianne Williamson did recently, which I thought was really important and powerful because, you know, there's a lot of projection on one person in the world, particularly today. And she's made it very clear she's not a fan of this person. But she came from a place that really, this world is a projection of our collective mind, right? One of us here collectively. So we can't blame these people for playing their roles, but we can, because if it wasn't this person, it would have been somebody else. You want to bring a light into the world? You want to change the story? Well, guess what? We have to take responsibility and realize we're not a victim of whoever and whatever we think we are. So, you know, we're not defined. You know, we talk about forgiveness of self and others, and when we let go of the past, then we're able to respond differently in the present and thus create a different future, which is really what we are here to do. So victims live in the past and survivors live in the present. So are we willing to cut that story, that cord? It's up to us every moment of every day to make the decision that leads us to peace or conflict, victimhood or victorhood. So I want to read from this book a little bit because it's 4 or 5 paragraphs, and I think I love the way Jesus expresses this. And he says, "You are not a victim of the world you see. Though you would hear the word, that which carries the vibration of truth many times, it can be denied as many times as it is heard. You can choose not to allow it to settle deep into your pool of awareness so that it affects every drop of water that makes up the wave that you are. You can hold on to the hope that you're still a victim of the world that you see, and the events hold some value in themselves, do not come from what you place upon them. As long as you choose to deny the world, you cannot be set free." So right there, it says as long as we're choosing to deny the eternal world, we'll remain a victim. And what program are we playing? What tape? For the mind that chooses, an even small part, to perceive itself as a victim of the world, it remains powerless. It remains in a state that generates frustration, weakness, fear, self-doubt, unworthiness, suffering, pain, emotional pain, aloneness, or separation from others and lack of fulfillment. Ultimately, it generates the echo of the belief that you have been squeezed so tightly by fear that you're literally separated from the ocean of the mind of God. So for the mind that chooses, it's kind of like you can't be a little bit pregnant, right? Any thought, even if it seems benign, if it's not of love, if I see myself a little bit as a victim, or if I see this person anything other than holy and divine, the situation, I'm keeping the veil between me and the light, the awareness of who we are, and not allowing my eternal nature to come forth. Awareness is all you have to, awareness is all that you have and all that you are. Out of your use of it, it comes all that you choose to experience. And out of that comes your decision of how you will experience what you have called to yourself. So, take 100, we were talking just a little bit ago. Responsibility, 100% responsible. I am responsible for the world I see. I am not a victim of the world I see. What choices am I making? The Holy Spirit or the ego? God or Satan? God is love, non-dualistic, eternal, free, and the ego, Satan, is temporal. It's fear-based. It's separating us, and on, right? So, in truth, and please listen well, no experience you've ever had has defined you or identified you. No experience you have ever chosen to create, to call to yourself, and then value it as you have valued it, has ever made you higher or less than anyone else, not even me, meaning Jesus. Although there are many who still believe that I am far beyond them, no experience that you have ever had has proven your unworthiness to be supported, to be loved by your Creator. And there's a teaching in the Course that says God has never changed his mind about me. There's nothing we can do to block God's love for us. That's part of our dream. That's our guilt. And there's also nothing we can ever do to make God love us more. This is all our choice. You know, God's holding that space of unconditional agape love for us, and we're muddling around thinking, okay, I did this, I feel guilty for this, or, oh, if I accomplish this or do this, I'm going to be a little more worthy and valuable. People will like me more, you know, I'll feel better about myself. You know the game, right? We all do it. And so it's up to us to realize that, and I think that takes the pressure off, you know. It's like, I really don't need to do anything except remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. And we do that through forgiveness, and we do that through vigilance for God and his kingdom only. So therefore, you remain as you are created to be, a wave filled with the very same power as the ocean itself. A wave, a soul, a web of relationship arising from the holy mind of God, with the momentum to flow forever, with the freedom to create by deciding which vibrations you will allow to settle in and become a part of you, which thoughts you will defend, which perceptions you will cleave into. So it's really, again, what are we defend, and the Course says, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. The idea of battle and war is such a interesting concept, and it's not of God. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. In my willingness to forgive all, to see beyond the story that I made, I then tune into my eternal nature. So this goes on to say, you are then eternally a creator. And this is the one thing you have no free will about. You can never decide to be a non-participant in the very mystery of creation's extension. When you hold the thought, I refuse to participate in God's creation, you have literally created the perception. The experience of yourself as being outside or separate from creation itself. You have created this insane emotion of trying to be separate from the wave of the ocean itself. And you will create the perception of separation, even though nothing in reality has been affected. So yeah, even if you say, I'm stepping out of this, you can't really, because every thought, every emotion, every feeling is feeding that ocean. I call it the quantum soup. You know, it's a collective stew of our thoughts, our feelings, and emotions. So why is this important? Because you see, the process of healing really isn't difficult. It requires only your willingness to accept that you are the effect of the Creator's desire to create like itself, just as a wave is the effect of the ocean's desire to express itself in a new way, a new form, and to bring a uniqueness to every wave that arises in mysterious depths. Surrender, then, is the process which you finally relent. and you give up resisting the fact of your very existence. You stop whining about it. You stop lamenting about it. You stop worrying about it, and you make the decision to get on with being alive. And what is alive about you is going to be alive forever, and there's no place to hide and nowhere to go. So how wonderful is that? You know, surrender, that is really, what am I surrendering to? I'm surrendering to love. I'm inviting the presence, the Holy Spirit to guide me, lead me, direct me, and all my thoughts, feelings, and actions. So when we do that, just a little bit more I'm going to share here. So creating as a Christ being, which we are, when we tap into that still small voice of the Holy Spirit, when we drop this pebble of thought into the mind, I am not a victim of the world I see. I am a ceaseless creator made of one substance with my creator and itself. So we are created in the likeness and image of God. We are created in love. We're eternal beings. The more we focus on that, the more we are awakened. We see the light. We're seeing ourselves as not a victim. I'm a creator. I've made this story up, and I can make up a new story. Then, indeed, the questions take different shape. We begin to use the power of our awareness to deliberately and selectively choose which vibrations, which web of relationships we're going to pull into our field of awareness, which ones you're going to resonate with, and the ones we're going to let dissolve from your mind, from your awareness. So if you've held tight onto a thought of smallness, a thought of lack, or a thought of powerlessness, you begin to see that is perfectly neutral. It's perfectly safe to look on everything we've ever created and say, it's very good, and now I'm done with it. So I think that, all that's, everything is by our invitation at some level. Much of it's unconscious. It's programs. It's other people's thoughts. It's, we're sort of receiving. That's why we have to really build up our heart space and stay vigilant in that, because that allows that to expand. But everything that has, once we get into a better frame of awareness and mind, those things that don't serve us, the relationships that don't serve us, just dissolve. It's not good or bad. You don't have to defend. You're not a victim of it. It could have been a bad job, could have been a bad marriage, whatever. Relationships, takes many forms. Life is about relationship. So they no longer need to be there because I've healed my need to be a victim of whatever circumstance that I thought I was a victim of. So today is really about declaring our power, our independence, and our independence is from the illusion of fear and separation, and above all, being a victim of the world we see. And I'm going to close with this comment from, or quote from Thomas Merton, and it is, all the good you do will come not from you, but the fact you've allowed yourself to be used by God's love. Think of this more, and gradually you will be free from the need to prove yourself and be more open to the power that will work through you without even knowing it. So I think back to what I was talking about earlier, when the real good we can do is allowing the power of the Holy Spirit to come through us and to live through that. And then we're free from the need to prove ourselves and to fear of missing out or whatever it is. And we can just exhale and relax and enjoy the journey. And because wherever we go, there we are, right? Okay, everybody, remember, not going to be here next week, but 2 weeks from today, I look forward to seeing you. And if you feel moved to pass this along and share it, that would be awesome. And be well, have a great couple of weeks, and look forward to seeing you soon. Take care, everybody, and namaste.